Shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And what a thrill, what a delight, what excitement and tumescence I have in talking to our guest in the neighborhood this Shabbos morning. He is a director of dozens and dozens of Broadway musicals, getting a revival at his theater company, J2 Spotlight Musical Theater Company. He is also, like ours truly, a podcaster, doing the Broadway-bound podcast. Plus, he's booked act after act at 54 Below, the night spot in New York. So won't you please welcome with us on this Shabbos a man who has a Jewish name. I'm hoping you're Jewish. Robert, yes, Robert W. Schneider. Shalom, Robert. How are you?
Shalom, Rabbi. How are you?
Oh, I got the usual aches and pains of the prostate and worries over Israel and Palestinians. But other than that, I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Same worries, same complaints, but besides that, God is good.
God, yeah, Hashem Yisrael. Let me get the crown off there.
Is that a Burger King crown? Yeah, perfect.
So yeah, sometimes I cheat. I do. I
got a Burger King crown too somewhere up there. I love I don't think it's ever too I don't think you hit like an age limit. I think you can always ask for that crown.
Oh, you do. You have to. Even if you don't. I'm Jewish. I'm cheap, so I go in there and I don't even eat anything. I say, may I please have a crown and several extras from my friends. And there's 17-year-old kids working there. They don't care. They're here.
It's a mitzvah. You're doing a good thing for them.
Yes, he knows the word mitzvah, ladies and gentlemen. So, Shalom, one of the reasons that we're having you on this particular week is that a week from now or so, you are directing yet another musical. You are reviving Smile, the Marvin Hamlish. And who co-wrote that with him? Was it McNally?
Howard Ashman, who did Little Shop and Little Mermaid.
Yeah. So, why did you choose Smile?
What a great question. First of all, to me, it's got this amazing score. So once again, Marvin Hamlish, like chorus lines, Marvin Hamlish, the Whipper, Marvin Hamlish, Jew, close to our hearts, and Howard Ashman, who did Little Shop of Horrors, also a Jew, Little Mermaid, the Disney Renaissance. But this is a show, it opened on Broadway in the 1980s. It closed after 40 performances. They never got a cast recording. It's probably got one of the greatest scores in musical theater that nobody's ever heard of.
There you go. So, how's the book? You keep talking about the story. Yeah.
How's the book, kids? I actually think the book is really funny. Here's the cool thing about the book. Do you know the show at all?
It closed before, and
I love it.
I'm Jewish. I never smile. So
you were at synagogue for the one performance that was happening, so it was unavailable. It's a show about beauty pageants. And the idea of like, why do we have beauty pageants, and specifically like teenage beauty pageants? So like this show was like before Toddlers and Tiaras and all the reality shows. So this show in a lot of ways was ahead of its time. And so I think people just weren't ready for this. I think people were like, what's the problem with having like a 12-year-old in a swimsuit? I don't see what the issue is. I mean, back then that was, sort of the mentality. And so now that conversation has changed. And now I think people are ready to be like, oh, maybe we should explore this a little bit more.
I'm trying to remember the Michael Ritchie film. I don't think it was of young kids. That they were fully grown people. Did they change it for the musical?
What a great question. So yeah, it's based on the Michael Ritchie film. And the kids in the Michael Ritchie film are supposed to be like in their mid to late teens. And so yeah, Smile kind of ages some of them down. And also some of those girls in the original movie, I think they were supposed to be playing younger, but they didn't look like they were playing younger, if you know what I mean. They're really 50, but they could pass.
Have you actually directed more than 200 shows at this point? You look like you're 30-something. How the hell? How many shows do you direct a year?
Thank you. Wait, tell me that again.
You look like you're 30-something. You really do.
God,
you got no gray in here. You got nothing up here. But
I got no here. I got no here, so you can't see if there was going to be gray.
Yeah, but your eyebrows are still dark.
That's true. Is that the giveaway?
That and the nose hairs. Yes, absolutely.
No, I'm okay now.
I need to comb those. But seriously, is it 200 plus at this point?
It is. I've been really lucky. I got started really young. I got started I've always, here's the good thing and the bad thing. Good thing for my career, bad career thing for my dating life. I've always looked like this. So people always kind of assumed I was older than I was. So I started directing professionally like when I was 15 or 16. So
Where?
out in LA,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Los Angeles. I grew up in LA. And so I don't know. I just always knew I wanted to be a director. Like I had acted and I liked acting, but like being in charge of like the whole picture, that excited me more. So I just started knocking on people's doors and doing cold calls and being like, if you need a director. And they were like, well, this adult seems to know what he's doing. And they didn't know I was 15. So yeah, so it's about over 200 now because of I got started really young.
Were you doing your own choreography back then too, or did you at least have somebody else to deal with the dances or something?
Oh, I can't dance. Yeah, I always have somebody do the
Oh,
choreography.
okay.
I
Good.
I have two left feet. It's not pretty. I'll be honest with you, after doing all these musicals, I still can't read music. I still don't know what a count is. Like I'm not good that way. So
What are you good at then? I don't mean that in a nasty way. What are you good at?
what a great question. Still haven't figured that out. Besides getting free crowns at Burger King, one of the things. Yeah, look at this. I learn only from the best, Rabbi. I'm really good. I think at getting really good people in the room. You are the best rabbi ever.
I am, thank you. So, can I ask you, let's roll back to as you remember, your very first quote unquote professional directing gig in California when you were 15.
I did. Oh my gosh, it was for a children's theater. They hired me to do a children's theater show, and it was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Mm,
That was my
okay.
first thing I ever did.
So, and it wasn't like the Disney way, it was just like somebody wrote a script with, was it a
Um,
musical or was it just a children?
No, you know what? Two things. One, it was a musical. Yeah, it was a musical like nobody had ever heard of. It was original. But also, what we also did, which I was really proud of, was we also had a group of adults that had developmental delays, and they wanted to start their own theater program as well. And so our first show was that. It was a combination of professional actors, and then sometimes those professional actors would sit out, and the developmentally delayed actors would go in and get their first exposure to the theater. And we created this program in 2002, and it's still going strong today out in California.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called Conejo Theater for Everyone. Conejo was the name of the community we grew up in.
Yeah.
And so it started there, but now they have them all over the United States, and they just put their like Brooklyn Theater for Everyone or Chicago Theater for Everyone.
But you started it. You started the
Yeah.
Conejo thing with the now. Is it politically incorrect? I mean, did you sub all the retarded people as dwarves, or did they also have
No,
retarded Snow White or
no.
something? No, no.
No, our prince, our witch, and then I think like three or four of the dwarves. But and then we did like, and here was the other thing. We did like they had to all be memorized. It had to be they sang with a live orchestra every night. Like it wasn't like talking down. It wasn't being like, oh, they can probably only do this much. We had people being like, oh, they can only do this much. And I was like, no, they can't. They can do more than that. Yeah.
Wow, wow. I just wish that some of you had like maybe a Snow White with Tourette's would be kind of great. Someday my prince, fuck. Someday my prince will come in front of all these children in the audience. I think that would be
That
quite.
that I would have loved.
I would
That's
love that too.
that's right up my alley.
So, what is the first Broadway like ish major musical that you had to handle and direct?
Oh, Guys and Dolls. Guys and Dolls.
Big,
Which,
yeah.
which is huge. It's one of my favorite shows. I still want to do it again sometime. That was like my first big one. And that had like a cast of 40 adults in it and 28-piece orchestra, tons of sets. And I think I was 20. I think I was 20. I think I was 20 doing
How
it.
did you not feel overwhelmed? Even though you had 5 years under your belt by now, how did you just not feel like, how do I control this monster machine?
What a great question. You know what? I never really thought about it. I don't know. Does that sound
Oh, I don't
weird?
want to put that in your head now. Next time you have to do a big show, it's like,
I have rehearsal after this, so I'm gonna burst into tears and pee my pants and cry, and then and then I'll be like,
oh,
"Oh,
I did that just before I went on camera today. But yeah,
I'm doing it now." Um, no, that's actually a really good question. How did I handle it? I don't know. I was just like, I want the best show possible for the audience, and I'm the guy leading the ship. I was also like, if I look insecure and nervous, they're gonna probably suspect something. So I
right.
probably overcompensated with like arrogance, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I overcompensated to make it look like I knew what I was doing.
And it came out okay. It went well. The audience liked it. Got well. And Guys and Dolls kind of it doesn't direct itself, but the material
Well, that's
is
the other thing.
yeah.
It's like that and Fiddler. I just did Fiddler, and it's like they're perfect. Like what do? You get out of its way. Like just get out of the way and let the brilliance shine through.
Well,
Yeah.
have you ever um, put your, because a lot of times you're doing musicals that people didn't see on Broadway, that
Yep.
didn't, as opposed to guys. Do you ever put your directorial stamp on something and really go far afield with it, the way they did with Oklahoma on Broadway like 5 years ago? No, you don't. You don't do that.
I listen, there's lots of people who do that and they do that really well. That's not me. Like my thing is like I want the audience to come in and watch the show. I don't want them to if they sit there going, "Oh my God, the direction is brilliant." I kind of think you're not doing your job. Like my job is to put the story up and tell it as clearly as possible. If somebody likes it afterward, that's great. But if people are watching like my direction, like like those guys who do those shows where it's like we're gonna do Romeo and Juliet, but it's all set in a bathtub and she can't speak and he can't hear like that. I'm like, that
Well, if
ain't
she's naked,
that is
I'll give it a
fine.
pass. If
That
she's
is
in the
fine.
tub and out of the tub, and you can see like,
Let her do
yeah,
what she wants and God
yes,
be good. But
right.
yeah, no, I can't. No, not that's not me. That's not me.
So,
Sorry, Rabbi.
but you are J2 Spotlight. So what was the impetus of your musical theater company?
Oh my gosh. I'm so lucky. I have a wonderful executive producer, and he's our. We had two goals. His goal was to take these wonderful shows that haven't been seen in a while in New York and put them back on stage, which is great. My goal was I wanted to give a place for actors who live in New York City, if they're not working on Broadway or doing an off-Broadway show, to be able to like do their thing and let their friends and their community and their neighbors see them. Like a lot of actors are brilliant, but they go to Chicago to perform, they go to Florida to perform, they go to Washington to perform. Why can't they perform in their own backyard? Why and maybe get an agent out of it or maybe get a director to see them. So all of the shows that we do, that for us that's the goal. My producer's goal is to make sure the good show is back out there in the public. My goal is to make sure that people get seen and get their work discovered.
So, what was your first J2 production?
It was a couple of weeks before the world went into lockdown in 2020, and we did the musical Seesaw by Cy Coleman
Yeah.
and Dorothy Fields. Yeah, which was it was originally out on Broadway, I think 1972, 73, and that was the first time the city had been seeing it again, so we got to do it.
Oh my. Now, do you get, the New York Times doesn't send to you guys. How do you get publicity, reviews, promotion, etc.?
I usually hang out on a street corner, you
Me
know.
too. And heels. But yeah. Right.
Listen, I'll borrow your heels. I'll do anything to get people in. You know what? I don't know why. My feeling is like always ask, what's the worst that can happen? They say no. So like, yesterday I emailed the critic over at the New York Times and was like, hey, you want to come see this? You want to write a story on it? And he was like, I can't, I'm busy. But
He wrote back.
he
Who is
wrote
the
back.
critic at the New York Times now? It's not.
Jesse Green.
Oh, Jesse Green. I like him actually. All right,
Yeah, me
fine, fine.
too. Me too. No, I'm always like, always ask, what's the worst that can happen? You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah. Well, no, they could put like when you're sleeping, put nitroglycerin in your eyeballs and you explode when you. There are terrible things that could happen, but they're unlikely.
Oh,
Yeah,
what a
yeah.
way to go to be like, how did he die? Well, the New York Times critic broke into his house and gouged his eyes out. Oh, wow, wonderful. Let's eat. That's kind of I wouldn't
They
mind
could
that.
have done that when Oaks was still running the paper and they had more power, but now,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, but
different.
but are you in touch with Oleksinsky at the Post? Are you whoever's doing it? So you're trying. Have you ever gotten a major daily to JS
Oh,
J2?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The New York posted something on us once. New York One is doing has done something on us. They're doing something on us again. ABC New York has done something on us. We've been very lucky that
Oh,
way.
this is yeah.
What's tough is not to get like too in the weeds. What's really tough is a lot of critics won't review something that doesn't run longer than 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and we're all of our shows are 2 weekends.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're right under that cusp. But
Oh,
that's
but I haven't mentioned this, that this particular show is at the AMT Theater. You have
yeah.
Al Tapper, who's a friend of the neighborhood, and Tony
Ow.
Scoltia. Yeah, we know Al, and we know Tony too, who
Oh, I
helps.
love Tony. Yeah.
So, but are you usually at that theater? Because that theater's pretty new. Where do you usually perform?
This is our second year with AMT. Before that, we were over at Theater Row on
Oh,
42nd and Ninth, and then Al and Tony over at AMT were like, "We have this space," and I went to go visit it, and I was like, "This is okay." I'll say it was really nice, and it was cheaper than Theater Row.
well,
Like
and almost same area. Yeah.
same area, and honestly, Al and Tony treat you like family. Like you go over your mishpacha. That's what it is.
Yes. And they're
Yes.
not even Jewish, which is
And
a
they're not,
tragedy, I think.
they're Italian. It's a,
No,
you know, we can forgive them for the few mistakes they make, but that's okay.
yeah. Well, you're a forgiving soul. I'm not. I'm
Thank
not
you.
some.
Thank you.
So, do you want to? One of the things that you're talking about is the ability of actors to do what they do.
Yeah.
You have to be on a certain budget. I want you to weigh in. Since we mentioned the New York Post, what are your thoughts on $921 a ticket for Othello?
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I don't think it's worth it. I just saw I went over to go see Romeo and Juliet, the thing that they
Romeo
just
plus Juliet, the one on.
Romeo plus Juliet,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
And the whole thing was they got these two hot young stars in to play Romeo and Juliet. And the idea, of course, was like, I'm assuming, well, let's get these hot young stars in because all these kids will come see it because they love to see these people on screen. And then maybe they'll be introduced to the joy of theater, the joy of Shakespeare. Amazing. Here's the thing. One of the cheapest ticket prices there was around 500 bucks. You tell me what kid can afford this,
But
you know?
here's you tell
Yeah.
me if that were true and Broadway is pricing itself out of existence, as it has been doing for 50 years,
Of course, that's
why?
the other thing. Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah.
people are buying, somebody's buying tickets because it's making more money than ever. So the producers, you can't fault them for lining their pockets and figuring out that even if the kids don't come, somebody's coming and they're paying a ton of money.
No, they don't have any, listen, they don't have any obligation
Yeah.
to, further the art. They really don't. They don't. I mean, I think the problem would be is if they were doing something like this and they were charging $900 and people were like, I can't pay that, I can't come, then they would probably change their ticket pricing strategy. But you can't, no, you cannot blame a producer for that. And honestly, a lot of times, a lot of the cost that a producer has to cover is not to line their own pockets. You know what I mean? It's the actors asking for this, the unions asking for that. Like I wish everybody who loved theater took like a business of theater course just to see like where all this money was going or how this stuff works.
Right. And if you're doing a limited run, you only have 2 or 3 months with an actor, suddenly you've got to make back, your baseline just to do it.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
no, I do not fault producers at all. I really don't.
So who's at fault for Broadway prices starting at $300 now?
I think that a lot of these producers have to cover certain costs. I think the unions are really rack up prices on them a lot of time, and they have to take care of that. I think the guys who own the buildings, the theaters, I think rack up a lot of crap on them. So I think a lot of times they're just doing what they have to be doing. If you looked at how much money I think the producers from Othello were actually taking home, I think people would be very
Lower
surprised.
than no. So
Well,
let me ask you, without giving away too much, what are ticket prices for Smile at the AMT Theater?
what a great question. They are $55 a piece. However, if you end up doing our season subscription, which is all three shows, it's like you're only paying for two out of three shows. Like you're getting three shows, but you're really only paying for two of them.
So it averages 30 something rather than
Yeah,
50 something up of all
yeah.
right. That's fair. That's fair. Although if you were mentioning $55 for this 25 years ago, people go, "What? 50? I can see a Broadway show for 50." So everything has cost. Everything.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
honestly, there are some shows where you could still see for 55 bucks, if you know what the discount is, if you know what this thing is. So it's tricky. We charge 55, but if you're part of our season subscription package, you get it for much, much cheaper. We want people to see these shows and we'll do anything. Listen, if you come to our show and you're a member of Actors Equity, you get in for free. You cut, yep.
Whoa, equity. I did. Wow. Yeah.
If you're a member of the Directors Union, you get in for free. You're a producer, get in for free. Writer, get in for free. If you're in the
Rabbi.
for you, Rabbi, absolutely.
What about Rabbi's several friends?
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Now we're talking.
Bring them all down. We'd love to have them.
Oh, Miss Pushy. So we've been talking theater, but let's also talk cabaret. Let's talk about nightclub
Yeah.
because are you still I don't want to say the booker, I don't know what the word is, but involved in 54 Below?
I am. Yeah, I'm one of the programming producers there.
So what do you do there?
What a great question. Honestly, recently, not as much as I used to. When the theater first, oh, sorry, when 54 first started, they were booked like cuckoo bananas. There was everybody and their mother was coming through there. And then it was very curated, like who was allowed to perform, who wasn't allowed to perform. And then if there were like massive holes in the schedule, like I would come in and like create programming for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're really lucky. That was like 10 years ago. Now there's so many, 54 is such a thing we have tons of people that want to be a part of it and want to do their own shows there. So I'm not having to fill in as many blank nights as I used to because we don't have as many blank nights as we used to.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's a good. I mean,
But
I was getting the other impression. I thought you were over.
oh no, no, no,
No,
no.
oh,
I'm so sorry. No, it's a
yeah.
good we have tons of people now that want to be a part of it and feel like it's legitimate. I didn't realize how important like there's a whole generation that grew up watching this stuff on YouTube, like seeing somebody perform at 54 and they go, oh, I want to do that. So sometimes I'll ask a performer, I'll be like, hey, I don't have any money and I'm really sorry, but would you be willing to come sing something at 54? And their eyes light up like a kid because they're like, I grew up watching this and that. And so I didn't realize for a whole new generation, it's a much bigger deal than I think it is.
That's really it, because cabaret was supposedly dying. But I'm wondering if YouTube and Instagram and all these places have.
It ain't dying. The
Yeah.
tr I think what we used to think of cabaret is dying, like the old classical, like here comes Bobby Short in a tuxedo, and he's going to sit down and he's going to sing Rodgers and Hart. That's going away, unfortunately. That's going away. But what's replacing it is a whole new generation of cabaret artists that just have a different look and a different take on it.
So who are some recent people that you have booked for 54 Below that are
Oh
coming up?
my, oh my gosh, the oh my gosh, I'm sorry, there's like 900
No,
names coming
of
through my
course,
head
of course.
right now. But I mean, we go from as classic as Marilyn May and Steve Ross, the best of the best.
Friends of the neighborhood, both of them.
Both
Yes.
of them are geniuses. Marilyn, I don't know how old, I know Marilyn's in her 90s. You would never know it.
She's actually 174. She shaves some years
Was
off.
she really? I heard that she actually performed at Washington's inauguration, is what I heard. I heard she
No, she was at King George the Third. She was his babysitter. It was
oh,
actually.
was she really? Oh my God, she's got best stories about it. I love
I'm sorry, that's me.
but
No, but
she
I think she's 95 or 96. I
yeah,
think
and
she
you
is.
wouldn't know it. I mean, she's still with it. She's still great. She's a master class
Yes.
on all this stuff. And then we have younger people like Joe Iconis, who wrote the musical
Oh,
Be More Chill, and
yeah.
he's got a pretty big cabaret following. There's all these young people that really they want to do it. They're just doing it in a different way.
So tell me stories now. This is what I want to hear. You have worked with some pretty famous people over there,
I've been
whether it's
very
at
lucky.
54 Below or even in the musicals and things that you have directed, whether at J2 or other places. Tell us either some wonderful stories or some maybe stories of bad misbehaving people.
Want to know something?
I do.
Oh, I'll tell you both. I'll
Oh
tell
yeah.
you both. Okay, I'll tell you a good story. This is a story I always love to tell people because I think it's really good. I had the pleasure of working with Stephen Sondheim once. And and everyone goes,
Yes. Oh, let me take off my yarmulke for a moment.
yeah,
Okay.
for a moment,
Yes.
out of
Yes.
respect to Steve, close one eye like he used to have, just to celebrate him. And so he came in to do a show, or he was working on a show, and somebody sang something that obviously was Sweeney Todd. He had written it, and he pulled the performer over. Oh, and the performer, by the way, was Audra McDonald. This was so
Oh.
he pulls
Yeah.
her over and he goes, "Come here for a sec." And he goes, "Hey, listen." He goes, "In this section here, you're doing this, and if you want to, that's great." He's like, "But if you do it this way, you might get a bigger laugh, but it's your call." And then he walked away. It was the most open, collaborative. This guy could have sat there and been like, listen, you do it like this. He goes, whatever makes you comfortable. I found him so open and so collaborative. That to me is a good story, that he's not as intimidating as, okay,
Well,
again,
I've heard that a lot about him, actually.
yeah,
Everybody tells that about Sondheim, who had every right to be demanding and be Arthur Lawrence and be like, this way, this way, this way. But no.
yeah, no, he wasn't. Any big person I've worked with, like knock wood, has never been like that. It's been the total opposite. Open and friendly and warm and like, cool, which is
Even,
great.
have you worked with Stritch? Do you have any Stritch stories?
Oh yeah,
Uh-oh.
I
Yeah.
got one. I got a couple for you.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so this is I'm gonna say these alleged stories because I didn't
You were
witness
there. What do you
it
mean? You were there physically
as a
there? No?
legend.
All right, all right.
So you remember that Sondheim concert they did where it was his birthday and all the women were in red?
Not the one that was online only, right? This was in person?
No, this was
Oh,
this was like for Sondheim's birthday, like a long time
oh,
ago.
okay. All
They
right.
did this thing where they had all they did it over at Lincoln Center, and they had six women come out. It was her, Audra, Bernadette Peters, Miriam. They all come out. They're all sitting in these gold chairs, and they're all wearing these red dresses, these Donna Karan specifically designed dresses. She said so. Donna Karen says, okay, listen, here's the deal. I can make these dresses for all of you, and I won't charge you, but I need the dresses back at the end so I can sell them. Totally legitimate. 2 o'clock in the morning, the night before the concert, Elaine Stritch calls and goes, I need a hat. My outfit doesn't have a hat. I want a hat. I'm not going to perform unless I'm wearing a hat.
Is she doing Ladies Who Lunch? Is that why? Or all right.
No, she's saying I'm still here.
Oh,
Somebody else was singing Ladies Who Lunch. Patti LuPone was singing Ladies Who Lunch. That's a
because
whole
she would need
story,
maybe could use a hat as part of a. I get it. All right. Yeah. Right.
right? So anyway, so they go, this is really, really late in the game. Like we're gonna go
Like
up
the
there.
night before, 2 a.m. Yeah.
So they're like, we can do it. It's gonna cost $10,000. And the producers go, okay, otherwise she's not gonna perform. So anyway, they make her the hat. Here's what she does. She's the last number in the show. She's wearing the red outfit. She's wearing a red hat. She sings the number. She bows. She walks off stage. She keeps walking. She goes to the green room in one fell swoop. She grabs as much food as she can. She throws it in her bag. She keeps walking. She's going out. She goes to the stage door. She gets in her car. She gets in her car. She drives away. She never once returns the hat. She never once returns the dress. And all the bill goes to Lincoln Center for that. She knew exactly what she was doing. She literally had her car. She told her driver, keep the motor running. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna steal this stuff, I'm gonna leave.
Now, how does she keep getting gigs? How would she be hired for 30 Rock? How would? No, I'm serious. I mean, I know she's a legend. I know she's incredible. I know you can listen to the cast album of Company a million times and never get tired, and then she's one of the highlights. I get it. I get it. But why would you hire this, pardon the expression, bitch? You know,
I
seriously.
there were I can't tell you because I cannot tell you because at this point if I would be like she's not worth it. She's not worth the trouble.
I mean, you wonder why Broadway prices are $900. Here's a concert night, and she cost them 10. They were in the beginning 10, and they
Got to
acquiesced.
make up for it. She's got to. So she's. I had years and years and years ago. I had a friend who was doing a new musical and somehow got her involved on it.
Yeah.
And she said, "I need my own credit card."
Oh no.
A
Oh
reading, a
no.
reading, Rabbi,
No.
a reading. And this kid, he was a kid at the time, and he was so like starstruck that Elaine so he gave over his student credit card, and she maxed it out.
Of course.
Can you? So yeah, so those that's a great story about Steve Sondheim. Not a great story about Elaine Stritch. What can you do?
What about other great or horrible stories of people that you directly had and worked with, like the Sondheim story? You that was you with him. What's another? And if they're dead, feel free to dish. Or if they're alive, feel free to say something wonderful.
Oh no, I got a story for you. Okay, I won't say who it is. I can't say who it is because she's still with us.
Right. All right.
We were doing this, and okay, she used to be really big, like as in terms of like who she was. And now she's not so big anymore.
A
I was
or a film person or both?
theater,
All right. Okay. All right.
theater person,
All
theater
right.
person. And we're doing an event, and she's the only person who requests a driver. The other big names in this event, which included people like Mel Brooks and Nathan Lane, didn't need a driver, nor did they want to get paid. She wanted to get paid. She wanted a driver. Well, I'm like, okay, great, we'll get her a driver. Show ends an hour later, waiting for the driver to. I'm waiting. My phone rings. It's the driver going, I don't know where she is. I said, oh, well, that's interesting. Let me go look around. Maybe she's still in the performing venue. Not only is she still in the performing venue, she's brought in her Coke dealer,
Oh no! Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
and the two of them are just sitting there doing lines of cocaine together. Now, the venue that we were using was also home to a children's show. So she's sitting there doing literally lines of cocaine while all these little kids are walking around. And I was like, you can't do that here. And without missing a beat, she goes, tell them it's snow.
Wow! Wow! That's
I can't say who she was, but yeah, she's still with us.
well. Actually, why can't you say who she was? If
That's the
it's
last.
true.
My
Yeah.
my it'll be my word against hers.
Can we have the initials? Maybe we can sort of suss it out. Maybe or just curious.
You know what? You come see one of my shows at J2.
Are
Find
you
me in the box office and I'll tell you. How's
oh,
that for motivation for buying a ticket?
off camera? Oh, you mean anyone? It's right. Anybody buying a ticket for Smile, go look for Robert W. Schneider at the box office of the AMT, the AMT theater.
I will be the bald guy eating Burger King. You will find me.
He'll have the hat. He'll have the
You'll be
crown.
like, who was the Coke person? And I'll be like, oh, it was blah, 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 blah.
I can't. The initials aren't LM though, because she's still
No,
really big. No,
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 no, no,
no.
no, no,
And you know who LM is, just like
I know,
that, don't you?
no,
Yeah, no,
no.
fine.
Oh, she's great, actually.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, you've worked with LM?
Yes,
Do you
she's
have an LM story?
no, basically that she's a really nice person. That
So as you
like,
say, LM is Liza Minnelli.
oh
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
really,
Yeah.
really sweet. Really, honestly, like a really nice, sweet A lot of these people, like, I've been so lucky because people will be like, tell me stories when they were jerks. And I'm like, I don't have a lot of those. And the people I have stories where like they're jerks, nobody knows who they are, which is, you know what I mean? That's kind
Good.
of the weird thing.
Can
Like
I,
you,
so can you tell me a beautiful, happy, lovely, like the Sondheim thing, of another story of someone you worked with who was out of their way great or did something funny or amusing or lovable or
oh God, yeah, I was doing, okay, this is, do you know Debbie Gravitte?
Sh Debbie Shapiro
Sorry,
Gravitte? Yeah, yeah.
Debbie, nay,
Don't leave
Debbie
out the Jew part. Yes, okay.
Debbie Shapiro Gravitt, my favorite. This I don't know. I always like this story. It's about Debbie. We were doing a thing at 54. We got her four backup singers for something, and the backup singers were young students. And she's like, I'm just curious, how much are they getting paid? And I said, well, honestly, nothing. They're volunteering, blah blah blah. And she goes, do they all want to be in the business? And I was like, yeah. She goes, okay. She's like, take it out of my paycheck and teach them they should never do anything for free.
Wow.
She
Wow.
gave up she gave up her paycheck for this.
Wait. So she was teaching them never to do anything for free by making sure you paid them something.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, which I thought was really classy. And
Yeah.
she's like, take it, but she was like, take it out of my paycheck. And I was like, I'm not. I said, I'm not going to do that. I said, you're going to get paid what you get paid, and you're absolutely right. And since that day forward, I've always paid people, even if it's even, yeah,
And
always.
you could have given the kids like $20, just, for, throwing them a little something, something.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
subway and a little drink or something afterwards, by all means.
Yeah.
Yeah, get a new dance belt or something. I don't know.
That
Uh,
is lovely. Yeah. No, that's a lovely, lovely story.
Yeah, I wish, I always feel bad about this because I'm like, I wish I had more like, you know, like, oh, and they did this and they had a diva fit and they threw something. I'm so lucky. Like I get to work with really, really talented people. The people that are jerks, can I say the A word? Can I say?
Yes. Oh, you may. You may.
I mean, the people that are assholes, you're
Oh, I
like,
thought you were going to say Arabs. Okay. No, I got, yes. Assholes, you can certainly say.
different. And I was gonna be like, yeah, there's no that I don't have that. I don't have that. The people that are the assholes are the people that really aren't that talented, that are like a flash in the pan, that are having a moment, and I think they're terrified because they know that moment's not gonna last long.
Yeah, and it drives their fear, and it makes them. Well, I mean, even you were arrogant because you felt you had to be arrogant
Yeah.
to cover up the fact that it's like, what am I doing? Yeah. Now, let me ask you: did you ever have any, not in terms of a particular performer, but in terms of directing or the cabaret, any disaster nights,
Oh, all
like
the
cabaret
time.
people at hell gigs or something falls, or do you remember some of those?
All the time. Oh my God. I did a show once where there was a power outage and the audience was like, well, we want to see it. And so the actors, all the audience turned on their phones and their flashlights and they put all the flashlights on stage so the actors could perform, which I thought was really cool. So that's like a disaster that worked in a good way.
Yeah, except for the one actor who looked directly at the light from the phone and fell off
Oh
the
yeah,
stage.
people were falling and shit, but the show was very entertaining. So stuff like that. We've had people not show up for performances. We've had people be like, "Oh, I'm sure you know this from working at cabaret spaces. You only have a certain amount of time. Like, the show has to be like 70 minutes, 80 minutes because we've got other things going on. People will get up there and decide to tell stories they never told us they
Oh,
were going to tell. Um, we had one woman come up. She was going to do something from Chicago and she was maybe 100 and she had been in it originally
oh,
and she's like, I'm going to come up, I'm going to sing the song, then I'll go away. I
uh-oh.
don't know what happened, Dave. She gets up, Rabbi, I'm so sorry, Rabbi.
Rabbi, yeah.
I apologize, Rabbi. She gets up there and she decides to tell her whole life story that begins with, my father used to run a minstrel show. And I'm like, well, here we go. Half an hour later, she finally starts singing.
Oh yeah. But did she have the whole 70-minute block, or was she part of a group of
No,
other?
no.
No, no.
She
Oh,
was one of 14 performers. And even at 14 performers, we were like, this is going to run a little long. She would not get off the stage.
but she told such hilarious stories about lynched Negroes that
And
I was, yeah.
she got booked into a Broadway theater, and then it's been great for her ever since. She is, yeah. So that is something. That is something. So it's crap like that you
Oh
deal.
wait, no, the Coke lady wouldn't be Arthur. It couldn't be. That she's got it.
No, no, no. I'll give you one more clue. She was once a big child actress.
Big as in fat or big as in famous?
Big as in famous.
All right, all right,
As in people used to know her when she was a kid, and
right.
then after she grew up, the career never really moved forward from
Oh,
that.
that's Shirley Temple. No, I'm kidding. It's a
Shirley
theater.
Temple, the biggest cokehead in Broadway.
I know. Right? Well, Bill Bojangles Robbins, they would go back and
He,
forth. They
he
literally
was
have a
her
straw
dealer.
going from her nose to his.
It
He
was
would
the best.
sneeze. It would go into yeah.
Good ship lollipop. That was just code for crack.
It was, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
We're
Good.
talking with Robert W. Schneider here in the neighborhood about theater, about his career. You have a few more minutes because this has been unbelievably fun.
For you, Rabbi?
Rabbi, goddammit, I'm Rabbi. Rabbi.
Sorry, Rabbi Sol. Please forgive me.
So aside from Smile, which
Yeah.
just has this wonderful score that you're smiling, having
Yep.
to, what is another one or two or three more musicals that were really undervalued, overlooked, that you think, not only should I do it at J2, but this should be back on Broadway. Give it another shot because this is a masterpiece and nobody realized it at the time.
Wow. So yeah, Smiles up there. The Goodbye Girl, which is what we did a couple of years ago, which is actually much better than people remember it. Also
I,
Marvin.
I actually did see that one. I love Martin Short, but to me, it didn't work when I saw it.
No, you know what? We did it a couple of years ago and we totally revamped it. It was totally scaled down. It was very, very different. And I think it actually works better now than it did on Broadway. But that's just I would love to see it on Broadway again. Stephen Schwartz is the baker's wife. We did that, and I think what we did with it ended up being really, really good. So he was happy, I was happy, everyone was happy.
Who got to sing Megalock? Because that's a
You know,
number.
This girl who was incredible, her name was Madison Claire Parks, but she comes from a theatrical family. Her grandma was Betty Garrett
Oh, we love her from All in the Family. I never saw her
on
on
the
the screen, but yeah.
family, Vernon Shirley on the town. So she sounds just, I mean, yeah. So it's a nice little lineage there. Yeah.
Oh, yay, 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 yay. So, okay, those are three. Baker's Wife, you got Smile, you got Goodbye
Goodbye,
Girl.
girl.
I'm like,
Yeah.
have you
Yeah.
directed quote unquote straight theater, meaning non musicals?
You know what's so funny? Yeah, years ago, I went to Penn State to get my master's in directing for musicals. This was years ago. Then when I got done, all I got hired to do for 4 years was plays. Isn't that weird? So I used to do plays all the time.
Oh, interesting. So, what was your favorite back in that?
Neil Simon, anything Neil Simon, anything Neil Simon. To me, like there's some directors who are like, I have to direct everything that Shakespeare ever wrote. I'm like, that's sweet. If somebody was like, you get to direct every Neil Simon play ever written, I'd be the happiest man on earth.
Even God's favorite?
Even God's favorites, the Book of Job in modern times. Well, if it was Charles Nelson Riley and Vincent Gardenia again, in a heartbeat, in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And actually, his later plays were bad. Some of yeah.
You know what though? But a bad Neil Simon to me is still much better than a lot of other things I see.
Yes, yes. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Neil Simon was Jewish. Did you know this?
No,
Yeah, I
that's
just looked that
weird.
up. He actually was. Yes, yeah. In
You know,
fact, even the extra kidney he got was Jewish too.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, because
Wow.
maybe Eisenberg and right. So, Neil Simon, but here's the deal: you had been directing since you were 15, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What did you learn about directing when you got this master's from Ben that you didn't already know? Did they teach you anything that was of value that you hadn't already gotten from
Yes.
life experience?
Yeah. Craft. Like actually being like, oh, if they're moving on this joke, they're not gonna laugh. Or like, hey, the first 5 minutes of any show is more important than any other 5 minutes, and the rest of the show, stuff that I'm sure people like picked up along the way. This was just like codified for me. Like it was like, oh yeah, there are rules. Like there is a craft to this, and there is ways of doing things to make it look effective.
Did you
And
ever read the Jack Vertel's book
yeah,
on? Isn't that great?
you know what? I got really lucky. A couple of months ago, I actually produced one of Jack's shows at 54. And I got to work with Jack, and I was like the happiest man on earth. He's so good. He's so brilliant. He's so brilliant. What's the book called? Like The Secret of the American Musical, right? It's like
Something like that. It's
a
just it
musical
dissects
perspective.
what. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I just it's
Best.
everything you know, but he's telling you this is why this works. This
He's
you
the
need
best.
noise somewhere at like 50 minutes into the first. You need noise to open it. You need just genius. Just
He's,
wonderful.
and if you like Jack's book, there's another amazing book called Words with Music
Oh.
by a guy named Layman Engel. Do you know Layman
Oh,
Engel?
yeah, yeah. Well, he's no longer with. He started the BMI.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
he wrote this book, kind of like Jack's book, on like what makes a really good musical. Like if you have that for like like how to write music, and then you have Jack's book for like how to write a book, I think you could do anything.
Wow, wow. Now, speaking of doing anything, and we're not going to get too, even though we're two Hamish Jews here.
Yes.
If you were asked to direct a show, a concert or a musical at the Kennedy Center now, would you do it?
No, I'm okay. Thanks for asking.
No, I wish I could ask. Me, I'll take anything for money. I'm just like,
You know,
I'll direct a Lee Greenwood concert. I'll do it. But
this is where I get really torn. I don't know how you feel about this. I get torn because I'm like, on one hand, I want to be like, well, no, I don't want to get involved over there. But then on one hand, I'm like, oh, people need art. Like people need to see shows. I don't, it's not like the money's going into his pocket. I also think it's like what the show is. If somebody was like, "Do you want to go direct Fiddler on the Roof at the Kennedy Center?" I'd be like, "Oh, okay." But if somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to like do like Lee Greenwood show?" I might be like, "Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know. It's
well,
weird."
but also the thing is, this Lee Greenwood show is replacing, let's say, a revival of Kinky Boots because they pulled Kinky Boots. And this is a made-up example
Yeah,
because the lead character dresses in
yeah, 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 yeah.
trangy clothing, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know. Like, I mean, I need money and I like working. I also think art should be accessible to everybody. I really do. So to be like, well, we're not going to go to this venue because to me, it's different. Here's where I also get screwed up. A bunch of people are on Broadway going, oh, I can't go perform at the Kennedy Center because it supports Trump. There are tons of big Broadway producers who own tons of these big Broadway theaters that are best friends with Donald Trump. So believe it or not, the money that you're spending to go see something at like a Jordan Roth, or sorry, a Daryl Roth theater, that's the ones, right? Aren't they the ones that are
well,
friends?
Daryl is the mother, Jordan is the son, and they own.
But aren't they
She has
friends?
theaters. Yeah, yeah, and
But
he's
aren't
got
they
Drew
friends with
Jamison. Yeah,
Trump's?
I don't know if they're Trump. I don't
I
know.
think they're the ones where like they're big donors of his, like they're really good friends of his. So ironically, if you go see a show at the Kennedy Center, the money isn't going to Trump or his campaign, but if you go see something maybe at a Drew Jamison house, the money, like if you go see Sunset Boulevard, that I think St. James is a Drew Jamison house, that money I think has a closer shot to getting into Donald Trump's pocket as a campaign donation than anything else.
This is why overthinking kills everything. This is why you can't take a stand on anything now because
You
you
know,
say, "Well, this makes sense." Oh no, it doesn't make sense.
well, that's the thing. And listen, I want to be very clear. I could be totally wrong in this. I could get the name. I could be getting the names wrong.
Sure,
So
yeah,
please forgive me, Ross, if I'm incorrect.
sure.
But I'm like, that's the like where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Like when does it stop? To be like, well, I can't perform at the Kennedy Center, but I'm going to go see a Broadway. I can't go see a show at Kennedy Center because that money goes to Trump. It doesn't. Versus I'm going to go to a Broadway show, but that money that's
Some of it
supposed
is
to
going to
that theater
go.
could be donated. I think the Roths donated a lot of money to the campaign.
Really? What do they have against? I'm not going to go there. Not even going to go there. I'm going to ask Robert W. Schneider instead. What was the first
Oh
line?
yeah.
Oh, sorry, what?
No, I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, Mr. Steve Roth, Daryl Roth's husband, is a business partner and close confidant of Donald Trump. And there's tons of photos with them.
Which also means that indirectly Donald Trump helped produce a lot of musicals that they did over the years. And was it Rent? Where did he make his bones? Or was it Spring Awakening?
Donald Trump is a huge fan of Kinky Boots. Donald Trump loves he loves it. he couldn't get enough of Dear Evan Hansen. Like,
Well, hey,
he-
look, if George Steinbrenner could be a Broadway producer, which he was,
yes, isn't that great?
applause, he did, yeah. But then why not Donald? Why not,
So anyway, so my feeling to answer your question, Rabbi, is
yes.
it is like many things that the rabbi is familiar with. It's a conundrum because you're like, when do you draw the line? Like at what and are you that's why I like going back what we said at the beginning. If everybody could have like a business class on how the industry works, I think they'd probably find a lot of different answers to questions they didn't even know they had.
It is a puzzle in a conundrum in a
Um,
matzah. It really
yeah.
is. Now, let me also ask one or two more minutes, of course, with the wonderful Robert W. Schneider. What was the first theater show that you ever saw as a little baby Schneider?
It's right there on the wall. Can you see it?
I see
Lacage.
Lacan. Your parents took you to Lacan. That explains a few things. How
I
old
was
were you?
going to say, I was 3 years old,
They
and
let you in the theater?
well, that's I've always looked older, Rabbi. I've always looked older.
All right, but all right. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in Lacage that a 10-year-old shouldn't be able to.
No, and I was a kid. I didn't know. I thought they were brothers. Like I was
Well, brother and sister.
brother and sister. I was like,
Yeah, well, yeah, if you think
I
about
didn't
it.
know. I didn't know. And my actually when I because I have a podcast, and one of the things that was like the huge joy for me was I got to interview Peter Marshall. And he
From
was
the neighborhood, we talked to him too. Sorry, yes.
no the best, right? Wasn't he the
He
best?
was lovely, yes.
But he was the first when I saw Lakash, he was the guy playing the lead at the time. So the
Right.
first actor I ever heard speak a line on stage was Peter Marshall. And when I got to interview him, I said, I have to tell you, you're the reason that I got into this. And he said, "Oh, I'm very sorry." He was he was the best. He was like 90 something and he was still performing with big bands.
Yes, he was doing concerts, and yes, yes. And yeah, he was wonderful on the program. And he was very, I don't know if I saw him in Lacage. I have to say, I'm not sure if he was the Alban or the other one.
No, he was the other one. He was the song on the sand guy.
But now let me ask you, you mentioned before that your dating life is kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Are you out there? Are you looking? What's your deal? Oh no.
No, no, listen, no, not for me. Years ago I was married and like that, that didn't work out. And at this point in my life, I'm like, it sounds weird. I'm happy being alone. Like I actually like coming home and being like, this is my apartment and this is my food in the fridge and I've got my own schedule. I don't know. I had a wonderful husband. He was a great guy, but things change, things part, and I'm happy being alone.
This is if you're happy and you know it. Well,
Clap
clap
your
your hands. Right. So that's the real important thing.
What
But
about you, Rabbi? Are you seeing anybody?
oh please, I've been married to the most wonderful, my dear wife Miriam Libby, for 57 years at this point. I know I look younger than I,
Mazel.
and we
Mazel.
have 22 and a half beautiful children. It's yeah.
That's
The
one.
last one, the head is not taking its proper shape yet, but we're hoping. We're
Fingers crossed.
but what are you saying? This is actually almost an offensive question. Your parents took you to La Caja Fall when you were 3 years old. You're watching this. Do you think one of the reasons you're gay is because you were open to this at such a? Were you formatively?
What a great. No, that's
It's not
actually
a great question. But it's a question that
no.
Republicans
That's
would probably want to
it's a
know.
fantastic question. It's a fantastic question. I don't know because I don't think there was anything. I don't know because like I said, I was a kid, so I didn't really understand like what this was. Does that make sense? Like I wasn't
Yes.
like,
Oh yeah.
what though? But maybe like seeing the movie The Birdcage when I was like a kid, like a young teenager, like going through puberty, that might have actually been something where I was like, oh, I get it now. I don't know if I got it back that early on, but I don't, listen, I grew up listening to show tunes, so maybe deep down it was being ingrained in me without even realizing it.
Well, also I have to say, like when I was a kid, they took me to see the Magic Show with Doug Henning on Broadway, and he had the hair, and now
Yeah,
now I
yeah.
got this.
You want to be Doug Henning.
I do. Yeah,
You have the gap. You have the gap in your teeth.
I did. But then the dentist fixed it and gave me a tremendous amount of pain. Which
You ever see Martin Short doing Doug Henning?
no, I
It was
don't
on
know, but I can see
on
it in my.
SCTV. It was so funny. No matter what you go, magic.
Well, we have been making magic here with Robert W. Schneider. on the Dave's Gone By show. I got one more question, but before we do that, let me remind people that you can see Smile, the Marvin Hamlish, and I'm sorry, I forget again the book writers.
Howard Ashman.
Ashman, of course, Howard Ashman. You're reviving it at the AMT Theater, which is on West 40,
Yep. West 45th,
West 45th Street.
8th and 9th, next to Schmackery's Cookies.
Oh, well, there you go. J2SpotlightNYC.com is your place to find out more and get tickets. Letter J, number 2,
Yep.
SpotlightNYC.com. And also, you got to get yourself to this man's website because his biography is hilarious. It's RobWSchneider.com, and it's Schneider, Schneider, RobWSchneider.com. You got to check that out. Also, all the stuff that he has done and is doing. So, two more questions, though. I forgot also to even mention, are you still doing a Broadway-related podcast?
I am. Thank you for asking, Rabbi. Yes. So I had an old one that had 600 episodes called Behind the Curtain, Broadway's Living Legends. I did that for 7 years, and we interviewed people who were in the business 30 plus years. Like that's where Peter Marshall was on. And that you can find on like wherever you get your podcasts. I just don't produce them anymore. And the new one that I have is a documentary series called Broadway Bound: The Musicals That Never Came to Broadway. And it's about musicals that were supposed to come to New York and for whatever reason did not. And it could either be like they closed in previews or they like were just an idea and they never really got to beyond fruition. But we play demos, we do interviews with the writers, the actors that were there. We went to the Lincoln Center Library, we went through people's archives, we read like private correspondence, and we just started our second season last Tuesday.
Oh, do you have a grant that's helping you? How do you have the time? Because that sounds like almost like a full-time job, despite you're directing all these things. Where do you, yeah.
I usually take about a month where I don't direct anything, and it's a month of research and like a month of crafting the episodes. Yeah.
A month of research for one episode or for a season, like
for the whole season. For the whole season. It's 10 episodes per season, and I'm living at Lincoln Center Library or, whatever archives will allow me in. Yeah.
It's the Broadway Bound podcast, which is listenable.
Oh, anywhere you get your podcasts. It's on, iTunes, it's online, it's on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, it's everywhere.
So definitely check this out with Robert W. Schneider, the Broadway Bound podcast.
Yeah.
Now, last question for you.
That's Rabbi.
You you were the first director to revive one of the producer of this show, Dave, and one of my favorite musicals of like the last 25, 30 years, A Class Act. So I just want to say what made that's a musical that I think is just wonderful.
Me too.
Why didn't that go the first time around, do you think?
Listen, it opened at, what else was opening that season? The Producers and the Full Monty. And they had these huge juggernauts, and there was this tiny little show about a guy, who's Ed Kleban? What is this? And I think that was it. I think it got lost in the shuffle. I think it's beautiful. I think the show is beautiful. I was so lucky to direct it. It meant the world to me. I think it's gorgeous. I think more theater should be doing it.
I'm 150 million times agree with you. Now, here's the tertiary last question for Robert W. Schneider. Smile is opening. Is the show frozen? Or you're still working? Are you still rehearsing?
Oh no! As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to rehearsal.
Wow. Okay, I'll let you go but you first have to tell me what's going to be your next stuff after Smile. What are you doing after that?
So this is wonderful. So our theater company, we do 3 shows a season.
Yeah.
So once Smile closes on April 20th, on April 24th, we open our second show, which is Zorba.
Oh my God.
And then
how do you, they're not in repertory, it's not quite repertory, but how are you not already, you must be rehearsing Zorba then, rather than Smile.
We start Zorba on Monday, and Mr. Candor will be with us. So it'll be very exciting.
Oh. So wait. April 24th, Zorba opens?
Yes.
So you're still, when do you start rehearsing Zorba?
We start rehearsing Zorba on Monday. We rehearse Zorba
4th or 5th. So you have 3 week, or a usual kind of 3 week thing.
Yep, we start rehearsals for Zorba Monday the 31st. We go every day 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Then starting 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., we start rehearsing Smile again. So Smile's at night. Then,
Because Smile doesn't open until the 10th. That's why I was so
yep,
confused about this.
yep. So the way we do our schedule is we do 2 half days. So like the first part of the day is one show, the latter part of the day is another show. And then once Zorba closes on May 4th,
Yeah.
I think May 8th, we open our third and final show of the season, Drat the Cat.
Oh, wow, that's one out of Are you directing all 3, or are you just?
I am because I'm greedy.
Ah, what? I don't know from Drat the Cat. What the hell is that?
You know
Remind
the Barbara Streisand song, He Touched Me?
Yes, yes, and I said that about a couple of rabbis when I was a kid. But anyway, yes.
I sang it at a deposition once. But yes, that's the big song from that show.
Oh, all right.
And it's really funny. It's a really funny show. It only ran a week on Broadway, but it is hysterical.
So get your season. You'll save some money if you do it.
You will.
Save some money. Get your 3-tiered season tickets, whatever it's called. J2SpotlightNYC.com for shows done by J2 Spotlight Musical Theater Company at the AMT Theater in Midtown over on West 45th Street, and see all this directorial magic done by our friend in the neighborhood, Robert W. Schneider. Robert, let me call you by your Hebrew name. What is it?
Oh, oh my God. Oh my God. No one ever calls me by my Hebrew name.
Bobby Booby?
You know what's so funny? I think every time I've always been called Bubba, and I don't know why.
Bubba!
It's not my Hebrew name.
You are now Bubba. It could be your Yiddish name. Bubba! Now you are Bubba to us. Bubba, baby, we love you. We thank you so much for being with us. Much mazel, breaking of legs and all that sort of thing with all your shows and all your podcasts too. Thank you.
Rabbi.
And happy pre-Passover.
Thank you. I'll see you at Shul.
Shalom.